Well, we want to thank you for all your prayers. I know there's been people on that put our name on prayer chains, and over the last probably 6 weeks or so. For those who don't know, I had a major heart attack November 15th while uh, rifle hunting out in South Dakota. I was in a blind, and um, just as the season started, ended up uh, began having severe chest pains. And I'd had a heart attack about 12 years prior, and so I knew what was happening. Was not expecting it at all. I'd had a stress test about 3 weeks before, because some of you know I'd had hip surgeries and had a little heart trouble then. During that process, I had 4 hip surgeries from the end of May to September, and that was going great. And so I was still using a crutch, but was able to go out to South Dakota and was looking forward to it. And that opening morning, began to have severe chest pains. I had some nitro that was old, but I had it, dug it out, took one, waited a few minutes, took another one, and it just kept getting worse. Well, to kind of quicken the story up, what happened is another hunter had shot, and a friend of mine's son and the fellow that was helping watch over him was wondering if I had shot anything. And my friend Travis Vod, who saved my life once before, ended up texting me. And I was, at that point, I was basically in the blind, just with incredible pain. I know every heart attack is different, but people have asked me, what's it like to have a heart attack? Well, this one was like, I was laying on the ground and somebody came up with a wheelbarrow full of cement blocks and just dumped them on my chest, and you just couldn't get rid of it. And so when this text came, Travis asked if I'd shot anything. He was actually working. He guides pheasants, pheasant hunters, and was taking care of his hunters. And I happened to be laying on the ground, and at that point, I did respond to the text. Most of the time, I couldn't even handle the phone. It was in such agony. And I think I hit the audio and said, I think I had a heart attack. And well, Travis said he doesn't normally look at his phone, but it was actually an hour. I looked in, it was an hour later, he saw the text and called me. He called 911, and I called 911, and then I got off 911 and said I need to call my wife, and they had me locked in where I was, and so I can't remember what I said, but
you said something not good is happening. I think I'm having a heart attack. And he said, Tom told me that he had taken a couple nitro. I said, we'll take another one. And I did stay on the phone with him until the first responders got to him.
And I will tell you that I had peace, but I figured that was the end. And the thing, I prayed for my wife, but the big thing is I was praying for our 4 daughters, that my death would somehow be used in their life in a positive way. And I figured it was the end. I had peace. Those who don't know, earlier, January 2nd of 2025.
Now it's 2026,
yeah.
So that's good.
So I was in South Dakota, and I ended up going, I had one of our dogs, went through the ice. She should not do this, but I ended up just went after her and ended up going through as well. And fortunately, we made it out. And then to blame, I love South Dakota, but in April, I had shot a couple of turkeys and I was helping a friend. I ended up stepping a hole and fractured my hip. So that's where the hip surgeries came from. So then this was November 15th when this happened. I honestly, I figured it was over because there was no way they were going to get me. I was in a pretty difficult place to get to, but these great people in Oklahoma and Chamberlain. I mean, I can't, um, officer, his first name's Catlin, and then I think Hunter was EMT, and then there were some firemen or DNR or whatever, and they hiked back and even ran back and had a little fold-up gurney, yeah, and carried me down this hill, and then they had a like a side-by-side, this little little place in the back, and they got me in that and got me up to the ambulance. I still remember because it was steep going up, and these guys holding on to me, and it was holding on with, I'd say, human love, but just holding on to me. And I could tell that a couple of
you couldn't do anything.
Yeah, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't have walked out. There was no way I was going to get out. I couldn't have walked. I couldn't even stand up. I was in such pain and everything. And those guys were just awesome. They got me to the ambulance. The ambulance took me to Chamberlain, little town. And when I went in, they got me in, and I could hardly breathe. And there were, as far as the nurses, and there were all women, like probably 10 of them. And they were just tremendous. And they gave me a clot buster, which allowed me to start to breathe. Said, it's working, because and I talked to Beth on the phone. And then they flew me to, so I mean, those people, here's this little town. And I don't know if she was a doctor or the main nurse, but I told her, I said, don't underestimate how important your job is in this little town. And she said, she told me, she said, I've nursed at these different places. And she said, we see things here that I never saw in the other. And so here's this person and, these people playing these important roles. And
saving lives.
Yeah, I feel like Travis saved my life. These guys that
first responders
saved my life here at Chamberlain. They saved my life. And then I was flown by plane to Sioux Falls, and Beth actually met there. And then my mom and my sister and our daughter Mercy and Jake got there. And so when I don't remember too much about that, he put a pump in my groin.
It's called an Impella pump.
Yeah. And so I was there 2 days. And then they flew me they felt that I was doing okay at that point, but if anything happened, they were limited. And so I was flown to Abbott by plane. And then I don't remember much about that because they put me under for.
So Tom was there for so he got there on a Monday afternoon probably, and the cardiologist and the cardiovascular surgeon decided to put a different Impella pump in that was going into his chest, and so they ended up
into the heart.
Yeah, it went through in the chest and into his heart, similar to the groin one, but then Tom would be able to move around and get stronger, and so they put him under on Tuesday, probably around 10 o'clock or so, and did the pump thing. Then they also took that opportunity that he was under to drain fluid from around his heart, because he had quite a bit of fluid, I guess like a liter of fluid. And then the next day, yes, Tom, yeah, that's a whole nother thing but then the next day they did drain fluid from his hip, trying to determine the staph infection, because when Tom had the hip replacement in in September, the beginning of September, they found that he was positive for staph.
That was the fourth
and
surgery.
That was a staph epi, and started the vancomycin, PICC line for 6 weeks. We had finished that. Tom was on an oral antibiotic. Well, when he arrived in Sioux Falls, they did some cultures and found that that staph epi was still there, and also it had gone into his bloodstream. So
we were concerned about the heart.
Yeah, so that's why with the hip they wanted to see what this fluid was in his hip, but that was not infection. That was a blood, a hematoma.
Yeah. So when I woke up, and I would just say all of the nurses, but especially the intensive care, there was one-on-one, and just incredible. All of them like 25 to 35 years old, just absolutely incredible. And there was one, I had some special ones, but one was, his name was Lincoln. He was actually my nurse while I was unconscious. And when I, came to him, I'm meeting him and stuff, and I asked him, I said, and he's a Christian. He'd gone to Bethel College, and had just gotten engaged like the week before, and I have a red-haired, just very happy person. I said, Lincoln, what's the toughest part of your job? And he didn't really answer. And I said, when things don't work out. And he said, yeah. He said, but I'll tell you what I really like about working in this unit is here people at least have a chance. We give them a chance. Otherwise they wouldn't have a chance. And there's people waiting for transplants and everything in this unit. And so he told me that. And then I'm going to tell you something. You may think I'm a little, it was odd, but I believe at that point I was so tired, and I love my wife, but I just didn't feel like it was worth fighting. I did not have the fight. I didn't really want to live at that point. I know the Lord, and I can be with the Lord, and I would just wore out. And so Lincoln says, we give him a chance. And that night, it was almost like a little picture. And there were two men, and I don't know what the significance of all of this is, but they were in kind of like almost like an aqua blue. And one was taller, and one had his arm, a shorter one had his arm around the other, around his waist. And he pointed at me. The shorter one did. And it was my dad's finger. My dad was right-handed, but I knew it was my dad's finger, and he said, that is my son. Well, my dad, I know he was proud of me in the latter years. He was probably proud younger, but I had an older brother who I know he was really proud of. And him saying that at that moment had nothing to do with the past, but where I was at the present, that I was still alive at this point. And then the other man, who I believe is my grandfather, I'm not sure I heard him actually say it, but I knew he was saying, that is my grandson. And then my dad was a houndsman. I mean, that was his passion. He coon hunted, he bowled, he farmed, but he was a passionate coon hunter, a houndsman. And then my dad said this to me. He said, Tom, you need to fight for your wife, for Beth. You need to fight for your daughters. You need to fight for your dogs. And some may laugh about the dogs, but it was almost a validation that was my dad speaking to me. And at that point, I decided, I didn't know whether I was going to live or die, and I was fine either way, but I was going to do my part in fighting at least to a degree, I was going to do my part. You know, so like my friend Travis with that text really saved my life. Those first responders saved my life. The people at Chamberlain, the hospital there, saved my life. The people flying the plane saved my life. The people in Sioux Falls saved my life. The people at Abbott saved my life. And then Lincoln, his remarks coupled with my dad's about you need to fight. That saved my life. And so for whatever reason, I'm still here. Just to continue on, I was on this pump, because my heart couldn't do it. And so how many days was it? Like 12 or?
Over 2 weeks.
Yeah, and so they tried to turn it down once, and I just had no, I was breathing okay, but I had nothing else in me. And so then it was a question about, you know, can we even take him off of it? But ultimately that happened, and for the update, so I'm classified as having heart failure. Your ejection, what do you call it? Ejection fraction, which your heart pumps. You know, for men it's like 50 to 72, something like that. And after my first heart attack, it was like 45 to 50. Now it's 25 to 30, so it's at the bottom. It's called heart failure. Some people can live a long time. As I did my research, about 50% of the people live 5 years. That means 50% of them don't. But you know, a lot of it has to do with, well, ultimately the Lord. I'll do my part and try and take care of myself. I just so appreciate all the prayers and the people that have helped us, you know, from like Kent and Brenda with a bunch of different things, and the Kerrigans moved my quail pen, and the Nepples, they fed the dogs, and just the prayers and different ways people have helped. We're just so grateful for it. So that's kind of where we're at. That's kind of the update. My wife, I would not be here without my wife. That's the reality of it. And she's had a nursing, not only her full-time job, but a nursing job since.
And I'm not a nurse, people, so.
Since May.
But because I love this guy.
Yeah. So, anything you want to say?
Well, just thank you, everyone, and so I guess I'll get emotional too, but God is good, you guys. And something I've really learned in this last month, 6 weeks, as Thomas said, is how God carries us. You know, I guess I had heard that expression before, and it's very real to me now that sometimes we can't keep going. We don't know what to do. We don't know what to do next, how to handle anything. And God carried me. I know He did, and He just has blessed. I'm just very, very thankful to have Tom with me. And you guys know how special He is. So, and I do want to say thank you to everyone for prayers, for kind words. And I know we really haven't accepted a lot of help, but some of it is we just don't even know what to do or what we need help with. So
fortunately, Beth's job, we have great insurance.
Yes.
So we're really thankful for that.
We kept Tom on my insurance rather than Medicare, so it was just a decision that we made, but we're really thankful for all that.
Yeah. And you know,
it's taken care of.
If God has helped you in some way, I'll tell you, I dreaded sharing this because it's emotional, and there's some funny things in it too that I didn't share. But we have seen God do miracles, and I believe He's still in the process of doing miracles that we haven't seen yet. And I'm hoping that there'll come a time when I'll be able to share those miracles that I believe are en route, but I haven't seen yet. You know, one of my Facebook friends, I don't know him, but he wrote me he had had a severe stroke a year ago. Couldn't walk, it just was horrible. He wrote me a note and spent like 2 months in the hospital and went through therapy and stuff. And he is hunting like crazy this year.
Oh, fun.
And I just, so Scotty Womack, I think is, if I'm saying his name right. But, you know, I'm so glad he shared that to me. In fact, I had Beth message him at the time and just tell him how much that meant to me because I needed it. He didn't know me from anybody. But so if you got a story of what God has done in your life, I want to encourage you to share it because it'll encourage somebody. So this is Tom and Beth Rakow, and we're really thankful for you. Thank you again for all the prayers, and I mean, God knows, and I pray that He'll just really bless you in a special way.
In 2026.
Amen.